Hey guys, welcome back. It's me, Gimpy, and I'm here with a little more Kontact Now for you. I had spoke a little bit the other day about the command structure, and I kind of want to just touch on that today, show you guys how it works, a little bit about the chip pull system, and how all that's going to go. It's not going to be a long video, but hopefully informative and help get you excited about this new chip pull system that they're implementing in this game. I do have a little bit of good news for you guys. If any of you guys are going to be at the WBC, the World Board Gaming Championships in Philadelphia this coming summer, I'm actually going to be there now. So I was really excited to find that out. Lock and Load is actually bringing me up there. So look for me. I'll be pretty easy to figure out. I walk with a cane, so I'm not hard to find. Yeah, but if you see me, come up, say hey. You know, finally get to meet the Gimpy in person. That'd be great. I'm definitely looking forward to it, and real excited that Lock and Load is giving me a chance to come up there and meet some of the fans, get some interviews, and see some of the new stuff that's being done in the board gaming world. So really excited about that, and I'll have interviews and videos and the new stuff that's coming out for you guys. That's not till this summer, but definitely be looking forward to that because I know I am. So let's take a look at the map itself, and we'll get into what I want to explain about Kontact Now. Okay, so I've got a lot of stuff up here on the screen for you, but don't let that throw you. I'm going to take and explain it to you guys here. Now, in the background is just a regular map. I've got 3 leader counters thrown on there as an example, but I've blown them up to the left side to make it a little bit easier for you guys to see the values on them. On the right side is the command matrix, and on the bottom is just the little thing that tells you how many command points you get per thing. So basically you're always going to have at least 3. As you can see, you're going to get 1 point per leader, and then you're going to get 1 point per leadership value, and then 2 points per your armor leaders. That's where I was talking about that armor leaders are treated a little differently because they have a lot bigger rating there. They're only going to give you 2 points, period. Now, when we look at our leaders, we've got Rogers, Rocco, and Gonzalez there on the left. The counter on the right shows them in their broken state. So you can see that they lose leadership value when they become broken. So you're going to have less points and the ability to give less orders when your leaders are wounded, broken, shaken. You get the gist. So on the top left, you see their command value. It's the number there in a, what is that, a hexagon? Yeah, the orange hexagon. So Rogers has a 2, Rocco has a 2, and Gonzalez has a 1. Now, to add up our entire command value, we're going to add 1 point per leader, so that's 3. And then we're going to add those numbers there in the top left of 2, 2, and 1. So when you add that up, you've got 5 command points on the counters and then 3 leaders, so we get an 8. Well, you can look over at your command matrix there on the right side, and you see, looking at it, that that's going to give us 3 times 1 order, 1 times 2 orders, and 1 times 3 orders, for a total of 5 chits that's going to go in the command cup itself. I'll take and show you guys that here in a sec. But another neat aspect about this is that the factions, the different nations, will have a different matrix. So the US might have more groupings of smaller orders, while the Russians will have fewer groupings of larger orders. So we're looking at it here. We've got 5 chits. Well, the Russians on their matrix at an 8 won't have 5 chits. They'll probably have 3 or 4 chits, which means they're going to have fewer impulses, but they're going to be giving more orders during those impulses. And it's another way to take and differentiate the nations in the conflict, in the tactical map that you're trying to battle on, because you're going to have just different strategies. You're not going to take, as the US player, and give sweeping swaths of orders to all your troops. You're going to give a few orders, give a few orders, give a few orders, while the Russians are going to take and give those just big swatches. But you might have a turn of the game where the Russian chits come out first and then you have the U.S. player with still chits remaining to be pulled, and they're able to act after the Russian player has done everything. Now it's random, so it can come either way, but it adds that dynamic, that random dynamic to the game. So let me take and switch over real quick. I'm going to show you the admin basically map and the counters themselves. Okay, so this is what your player board might look like in the game with the command chits laid out on them. You got the US chits there on the left and Russian chits on the right. Don't worry about the Russian chits for now. We're just kind of getting an example. There are some other chits there, CAS and artillery. Again, we're not getting into those. We're just covering the basics, but close air support, artillery, that type thing. So you're going to take and add up your command points that you're going to have for your leaders, and we saw on ours that we had 8 command points, and that gave us 3 1s, a 2, and a 3. So let's grab those up real quick and lay them out. Okay, so you see here we've laid out our command chits themselves, and both sides are going to take and do this. They're going to take and add up however many order chits they're going to have, and you're going to take and put them into a communal cup. Both the US side and the Russian side are going to put theirs in a communal cup together, and then you're going to draw that those chits out one at a time, and that's going to determine who goes at what time and how many orders they're issuing during that impulse. So let's take and put our command chits here into a cup, and again, we're only worrying about the US ones just for our example here. Normally you would have both in there. So let's take and put them into a cup and draw out a single counter. Okay, so this is what your player board might look like after you've got done getting your chits pulled in and put in the cup. You see that the 1s and 2 and a 3 are missing from the US side, and we draw out a random chit, and that chit came out as a 2. So that shows us that the US side is going first, and they have 2 orders to issue to their troops during this impulse. So let's take and switch back to the map. I'm going to take and lay out just some random troops on the board to give you an example of how that might work when we get down to the actual tactical map itself. Okay, so I changed up the map a little bit. I took and moved the counters, put some infantry counters down there with them. So we can see Gonzalez is far off to the left. He's kind of out of it. Rogers is down here in a little wheat field. He's got some infantry near him. And then Rocco's up there to the top, and he's got a couple of infantry squads near him. And they've got one lonely little Russian infantry squad there near him. So we drew out a 2 counter. This means that we have 2 orders that our leaders can take and issue out. Well, Gonzalez, he's way off there, so there's not a whole lot he can worry about right now. He could use an order to move up if he wanted to, but we don't want to do that. We want to take and have Rogers order the infantry that are near him to take and move up to close in on that last Russian squad that are there, and we want Rocco to take and order the 2 infantry squads near him to take and fire onto the Russians. So they're going to take and issue those orders now. Okay, so you can see here that the orders were issued. The infantry near Rogers took and moved over a few hexes to kind of flank around on the Russians, and the infantry near Rocco took and fired. They're marked with fired and move markers on them at the Russians. Don't worry about the numbers or dice rolls or the values. I'm just showing you the basics of the command structure itself. All right. So at this point, the impulse would be concluded because 2 orders were spent, and you would take and draw another chit out of the cup, and whoever it was, if it was another US counter, then the US would go again, issuing more orders, or if it was a Russian counter, the Russians would go at this point. However, the difference is that the fired and moved markers would come off at that point. Once the orders have been issued and you're drawing another chit, those markers come off. It's not like Lock and Load Tactical where impulses basically the markers will remain until the end of the turn, at which point all the markers are cleared simultaneously. This one, the markers are going to be cleared in between each individual impulse. So you could take, if theoretically, if you wanted to, and keep issuing orders to the same group of units, impulse after impulse, and not have anything bad. The rest of your guys would be hanging back. But the thing of it is all right. So we had 2 orders to spend. We could not, in the same impulse, have Rocco issue an order to a set of infantry and then have Rogers issue an order to the same set of infantry. All right. So you can't take and order the same units in the same impulse, have different leaders command them. But once the impulse is over and you're drawing that other chit, it pretty much goes back to a fresh board state. There's no fire or move markers at that point, and then you're restarting again. And that's the part that really gets me. That's what I really like, is that I think that is going to make it more dynamic on the battlefield. That during your game, sometimes in lock and load tactical games, and don't get me wrong, I still love lock and load tactical. Don't think I don't. But sometimes during those games, you might have some guys that already have fired or ops complete or something like that on them, and okay, well, I don't have to worry about those guys doing anything to me until the next turn. Well, now you no longer have that. You have to worry about them during the next impulse, and you might have to worry about them again on the very next impulse, because it's not guaranteed to you. You're not guaranteed to be the next guy going. And especially, like I said, the Russian faction, they might start off strong if they draw a couple of their chits and they're issuing 3 orders and 3 orders and they're moving all their guys and they're getting a lot of fire. But then they've, shot their rocket. They've already burned both of their chits for the turn, and now there's, 3 or 4 smaller American chits to take and react to whatever they did. I think that really does add a huge random element to the game that nothing is guaranteed to you. Nothing. The next impulse is not guaranteed to you. The next turn is not guaranteed to you. And that really is the part that's getting me about this game, that I have thoroughly enjoyed, and especially for solo players, because you guys know, like, I'm big on solo. I play every war game solo. I'm just like that. I hope I don't talk to myself as much as some guys that I've seen. Although I have noticed since I started the YouTube thing that I have started talking to myself when playing something a lot more than I used to. If I'm off camera, I'm like, hey, you're not recording, Gimpy. You don't have to, speak to the crowd. But for solo players, all right, a system like this is going to be awesome. All right, this is just going to take it to the next level, because the big thing in solo is adding that unknown element to it. How can you make it to where you don't know what the enemy's going to do? And even without a solo module for the game, you still don't know what's going to happen. If you're playing both sides to the best of your ability, you don't know if the US is going to go next, or the Russians are next, or whoever, whatever factions you're playing. You don't know who the next turn is. And I'll tell you, after having some hands-on time with this, I'm honestly thinking that it can be played with the existing lock and load tactical module, with maybe some small concessions here or there. But for example, if you're using the deck of cards for the opponent, say for the Russians, and they draw a chit with 3 orders on it, you could take and simply draw 3 cards. And that could cover, they're giving orders, essentially. And play it the same way, because it's still hex and counters. The ranges are similar on the counters. Honestly, I think that with some minor tweaks, and I'm looking into this. I've got a lot of other stuff on the table right now, but what I would like to do is look into seeing what tweaks would work for that, and see if Lock and Load would implement that, because I don't see why they wouldn't. It'd be a huge boon for them, and it would, I think, bring Kontact Now up into that very next level, to where everyone will be clamoring for it at that point. But anyway, I'll stop rambling here. I just wanted you to see how the game system worked, how the command structure works, And this is by no means an in-depth explanation. Make sure you keep that in mind. This is the down and dirty how the command system works. I don't even understand all the specifics when it comes into close air support and artillery and how that works yet. So like I said, I'm still learning in the game, but I'm excited about it, and I wanted to show you guys some of this stuff so you could be excited about it too. Make sure that you enter into my Gimpy's Game giveaway if you haven't yet. I'm going to be doing the drawing for that very soon. And what else? Oh, and like I said, I'm definitely excited to be going to the WBC. If you're going to be there, you know, feel free to stop by and say hey, or, you know, shake my hand, take a picture. I don't care. Like I said, I'll be easy to see because I got a cane with me and a pretty wife, so that kind of helps, and, you know, makes up for some of the shortcomings of the cane, you know what I mean? Although I was a tripod to begin with, if you know what I'm saying. Alright. Anyway, you guys take care, and I will catch you in the next one.